At 6, 5 businesses on the same block hit by burglars.
It was thousands and thousands of dollars worth of damage.
We'll hear from local shops worried what it means for downtown Walnut Creek.
Are we next? What's the next business that's going to be hit?
Plus, as the Supreme Court keeps full SNAP payments on pause, we'll take you to a corner market where the hold on food benefits is putting a strain on their bottom line.
It's a big chain reaction.
And later on this Veterans Day, we'll introduce you to a Peninsula Marine whose unique art style is helping him push through PTSD.
I realized art was kind of like a time machine, like time just disappeared, and not just time, but my problems.
This is CBS News Bay Area with Juliette Goodrich.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news out of Redwood City. A big law enforcement presence after a person was shot by police. This all happened after what appears to have been a standoff at a home on Hemlock Avenue near Madrone Street. It is not too far from Woodside Road and El Camino Real. Our Suji Nam is live in Redwood City with the latest developments for us now. Suji.
Juliette, well, neighbors tell me they heard gunshots a little after 3:15 today afternoon. As you can see behind me, it's still a very active investigation, a multi-agency effort. San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, Redwood City Police, and the county's District Attorney Office investigators are at the scene piecing together what led to this shooting today. Officers with guns drawn were seen focusing on a 2-story building and sheds in the backyard of a home. We learned that a suspect was shot and taken to a local hospital, and neighbors who live next door tell us this is a safe community, so they were shocked when this happened so close to their home.
I actually live right next door to what happened. I was driving on El Camino and I see my whole block was full of cops. And I get here and I get down from the car and it's a bunch of cops going into my neighbor's house. Sadly, there was gunshots, around 6 gunshots, and someone was taken in the ambulance. It's sad, actually. Yeah, it's very sad. Nothing like this has ever happened in our neighborhood. I'm hoping my neighbor is okay.
Again, it's still a very active investigation. Officers were seen deploying a drone to search the property. We are still waiting for more information as to what exactly happened, as well as the person that was involved in that shooting. We are waiting for more details from investigators. Juliette, as we know more, we for sure will be updating you as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Suji Nam, live in Redwood City. Suji, thank you. All right, turning now to the East Bay, where a number of businesses are on edge after nearly half a dozen shops on the same block in Walnut Creek were targeted by burglars, and for now, the thieves are still out there. Brad Hamilton joining us live from downtown Walnut Creek, where these businesses are now on the hook for some pretty major damage. Brad.
The smashing of glass, the grabbing of anything valuable. This surveillance video shows at least 4 burglars breaking into a nail salon on Bonanza Street in Walnut Creek. And they didn't stop there. Tim Ketron's footwear store, which is right next door, also became a target of the smash and grab spree.
Got a call from the police at 7, just saying that somebody attempted a break-in. We need you to come down here.
Tim showed us the marks left behind from the attempted break-in.
Deadbolts kept them from coming in.
And he told us the break-ins happened early last Wednesday morning, targeting a total of 5 businesses on the same block. That included his immediate neighbor, Flamingo Hair and Nail Salon. The store itself was closed for the Veterans Day holiday, but they did supply the video you see now. Others confirming they were victims, Mr. Lucky's Bar and Grill, Crepes Ooh La La, and Casina Mexicana. Brian Schneit is the manager of Lita's restaurant on the corner of Main and Bonanza. He says while their business wasn't hit this time around, they can't help but wonder,
are we next? What's the next business that's going to be hit? I mean, they started off down Bonanza Street, worked their way around Locust, and they just handpicked different businesses.
Schneit has talked to some of the store owners that were impacted, and what they told him is that what was actually stolen didn't amount to much.
Some of which they didn't take anything, just destroyed their property. Other ones they took quarters, some they took liquor from.
There's some kind of special glass breaker thing.
Ketron heard the same thing, but he says the cleanup alone is enough to hurt any small business.
It was thousands and thousands of dollars of the damage, with the windows. This window was $3,000 whenever I had to replace it before. That's what they're going to have to pay, next door.
For now, Ketron is feeling a bit lucky. He has a door to replace, but no shattered glass. And as he thinks about the people at the heart of this crime, he wonders how worth it all feels to them now.
They took some change out of the Flamingo salon at Mr. Lucky's. They got the coins from the jukebox. So unless they're just desperate to do laundry or something, I don't know, what the risk versus, reward.
We did reach out to Walnut Creek Police for any updates on this investigation, if they could confirm any details, but have not heard back. And in talking with store owners, they say they haven't heard much from police since Wednesday morning when that investigation began.
All right, Brad Hamilton. Brad, thanks so much. On to Palo Alto, where police there are looking for suspects in the case there. They're looking for suspects involved in a series of home break-ins last night. In a couple of them, the burglars were caught in the act. Homeowners reported the first burglary on Nelson Drive happened last night. Police say the suspects snuck into their backyard and smashed in the rear glass door, but got away. 8 minutes later, police got another call on El Capitan Place, just a block away. Police set up a perimeter, but couldn't find anyone. Finally, at 10:15, a third burglary on Cardinal Way. But police say no one was home when that last break-in happened. It is not yet known if the burglars got away with anything at the homes on Nelson Drive or El Capitan Place. But on Cardinal Way, the homeowner reported that several items of jewelry had been stolen. All right, now to the latest on the government shutdown. GOP leaders are calling on members of the House to return to Capitol Hill by tomorrow afternoon so they can vote on a stopgap funding bill to reopen the government. Comes after the Senate passed the deal last night. 7 Senate Democrats and 1 independent sided with Republicans on this compromise. It does not include an extension of Affordable Care Act tax credits. That was the key demand of Democrats. But it does restore funding toward food assistance programs and pay for federal workers. President Trump expressed his support for the deal. In the meantime, people on SNAP will have to wait longer to get full benefits. The Supreme Court has extended an order pausing these payments. It will expire just before midnight on Thursday. And if the House votes to reopen the government on Wednesday, it's not clear when SNAP payments would go out. So the uncertainty around benefits is putting a strain on local food banks for sure. And as Katie Nielsen found out, small businesses where recipients shop are taking a hit.
All right, y'all. Love y'all. All right. How are you? I'm fine, Lucky. How have you been?
Lucky knows just about everyone in this neighborhood in North Richmond. His store, Rancho Market, has been a fixture here, a small grocery store and deli in an area that's otherwise a food desert, a neighborhood without many other grocery stores nearby.
I know everybody here. 20 years, I was there growing up.
That's why it was so hard when he wasn't seeing the families and seniors who came in using their CalFresh benefits.
I was really worried about them. And the first 3 days, it was really troubles, like, how they gonna survive.
He says he tried to help where he could.
I do give away what I can, but I can't give much. You can't help so many people,
25 to 30% of his sales are on CalFresh cards. And without the benefits continuing, he couldn't afford to stay in business just through the end of the month.
They don't have too many stores. A lot of them are faded out. They've been faded out. So yeah, this is central to this area here. Yeah, it's very important to keep the store here.
Katrina Ledbetter grew up here and says a lot of the people who live in the area are limited on transportation, often walking to the store to get what they need.
We have just seen a lot of chaos and anxiety as people struggle to figure out whether they're going to be able to put food on the table.
Caitlin Shy with the Food Bank of Contra Costa and Solano says at one of their distribution events on Sunday, 100 extra families showed up compared to previous events.
We will usually see 10, 20 new people depending on the site, but that many new folks coming to us really tells us that without benefits, they were not able to afford groceries.
A situation that will take a while for the recipients and small market owners like Lucky to recover from.
It's a big chain reaction, but sometimes people think it's so little, but that little thing has so much chain reaction. It affects me, it affects my family.
Contra Costa County supervisors approved an emergency debit card program for CalFresh recipients if benefits were not restored for November. Looks like they don't need that this month, but it could come in handy in December if the government shutdown continues.
We invite you to help your neighbors in need through our annual Food for Bay Area Families program. For more information on how you can donate to local food banks or become a volunteer, just scan the QR code on your screen. You can also head to kpix.com/give. All right, the flight reductions ordered by the FAA during the government shutdown ramped up today. 6% of flights were cut at 40 major airports, including SFO and Oakland. The website FlightAware says 58 flights were canceled at SFO today.
Coming here for a wedding, and are we going to make it, first of all, for my son? And secondly, am I going to be able to get back home? And a lot of stress on everyone.
FlightAware says there were more than 1,200 flights canceled nationwide today. All right, still ahead here at 6, the Trump administration getting involved after a scuffle at a UC Berkeley political protest. Plus, we'll take you around the Bay for veterans to see how communities celebrated and honored their neighbors who served. And how a local Marine veteran found a way to express himself and cope with PTSD using a unique canvas.
I was like, I have all these cans. What am I doing with these?
A strong geomagnetic storm is making the northern lights visible far south of where they usually are visible, all the way down to parts of New Mexico. But unfortunately, around the Bay Area, we have a lot of clouds. We're going to track when those clouds are going to drop some showers and eventually an atmospheric river coming up in the first alert forecast.
UC Berkeley is once again under federal scrutiny. The Justice Department and the FBI are investigating last night's protest during a Turning Point USA event on campus. About 900 people came to the sold-out event. There were hundreds of protesters outside. A fight did break out between two men on the sidewalk off campus. Both were arrested. University officials say 2 more people were arrested. In a letter to UC Berkeley's president, the Justice Department said it would be looking into whether the protest violated the Constitution. We talked to students who said they don't think the university is to blame for what happened.
I think that the school really didn't have that much to do with the protest itself. It really wasn't organized through the school or anything. I don't think they have a lot of grounds to actually investigate, in my opinion, because the school really had no play. It was all of the students who really came together.
The university released a statement saying it plans to fully cooperate with the investigation and that it condemns all violence and will hold accountable anyone who violates the law. Communities across the Bay Area are honoring those who served our country this Veterans Day. San Jose held the city's 107th annual Veterans Day Parade. Bands, active duty military groups, tanks, and classic cars, they made their way through downtown. Organizers say this is the largest Veterans Day parade in Northern California. And on this Veterans Day, a somber reminder, more than 6,400 veterans died by suicide in 2022. That is the most recent data from the Department of Veteran Affairs. But as our Itai Hod reports, one Marine is fighting back against the difficulties of PTSD with a can-do attitude and a canvas that's anything but ordinary.
Artists can turn almost anything into a canvas, but Colin Hoffman prefers the kind you shake before you spray. And when it's empty, that's when he brings it to life.
I was like, wait, I have all these cans. What am I doing with these?
Here in his San Bruno studio, they don't end up in the trash can. They transform into killer cans. Brightly colored monsters with toothy grins that are shaking up the art world.
They kind of ward off evil spirits. I don't see them as evil themselves. I see myself as a protector.
And maybe that's not by accident. Hoffman, who served as a Marine from 1991 to 1993, was forced to retire after an injury and was diagnosed with PTSD.
I haven't really discussed it with anybody for 30 years. You know, my kids don't know about it. My mom and all of them, when they were alive, they didn't know about it. It's just not something that I've been able to talk about
Ironically, he says, his monsters have been able to drown out the demons in his own head.
I realized art was kind of like a time machine, like time just disappeared, and not just time, but my problems.
What started as a hobby soon took on a life of its own. Before long, his quirky creations found an audience at Veteran Comic-Con, a nonprofit using art to help veterans with PTSD. Constance Pleasant founded the group after seeing how art therapy helped her veteran father process his experiences.
It's like meditation. It really blocks out the outside world, the demons, the stresses.
As for Hoffman, after hours of building and painting, he caps it all off with, well, the cap.
And he's done.
Because sometimes, to slay your demons, you just have to build them yourself.
That looks pretty good.
If you're wondering, Hoffman's cans go for $200 to $400 a pop. And if you or anyone you know is an active duty or retired service member, you can get 24/7 mental crisis counseling. Just dial 988 and then press 1 or text the number on your screen. Coming up, it certainly has not felt a lot like fall, but that's all about to change. Paul is taking a look at the storm heading our way and what's ahead for the weekend. All right, I'm prepping Paul here, getting the answers ahead of time. I was kind of trying to get the inside
Quizzing
scoop.
me?
I was like, is it going to be windy? Is it going to be rainy?
Yeah.
How much of each? But I guess you should just share it with us all.
We're tracking that next atmospheric river. We're watching for the northern lights tonight, just in case we can catch a glimpse, because it's visible really far south, far enough south that we kind of have to be concerned about impacts on satellites. This is a pretty powerful storm, but around the Bay Area, we got too much cloud cover to be able to see it. If you get a picture, send it to us.
Okay,
be
yeah,
happy to share
please.
those if you manage to get a glimpse, but we're just watching for that next storm to head our way. Here's what you need to know. Light showers in the forecast tomorrow, becoming more likely later in the day, and then the next atmospheric river moves in tomorrow night into Thursday. Heavy rain and gusty winds, both likely. And it's going to usher in a much cooler air mass. It's going to linger into the weekend, but it's not here yet. Looking outside from the Mark Hopkins Hotel, seeing a fair amount of cloud cover, but again, a few pinpricks of light on the horizon indicating a couple breaks in those clouds. Maybe we can see the northern lights later tonight. Temperatures are all in the 60s, so it's been another unusually warm day. Temperatures running about 5 to 7 degrees above average this afternoon. Tomorrow isn't going to be as warm, but if you want to get out for some activities early in the day, including dog walking by our adoptable dog, Ernie, who is available from Lily's Legacy in Petaluma, the weather should be dry for the first few hours of daylight and then increasing shower chances later in the day. He's already got a jacket on, so he's ready for the cooler temperatures. I'll put up a link to his adoptable information right after this weathercast. But let's track the approach of that rain. This is the radar simulation from 9 a.m. through 5 p.m. tomorrow, and you're not going to see a lot showing up the map here. There it is, showing up as we go through the day tomorrow. Intermittent showers, mainly for the North Bay, but for the most part, this activity is going to hold off until after the sun goes down tomorrow late afternoon, now that we're into standard time. So we're waiting on that rain to arrive. Temperatures are still going to end up about 3 or 4 degrees above what's normal for this time of year. Here's the temperature pattern. And as we put some numbers on the map, inland temperatures are going to approach, maybe even some spots exceed 70 degrees, exactly 70 in San Jose, 70 degrees for Concord. Those numbers 3 degrees above normal. San Francisco and Oakland also 3 degrees above normal. Mid-60s at the coast. Only mid-60s for the North Bay, though, because you have that better chance of showers initially during the day, and then we're going to be seeing a better chance of rain moving in by tomorrow evening. So let's go from 5 o'clock tomorrow evening through midnight, and as we wind the clock forward, the showers become a little more numerous, a little bit heavier, but the heaviest rain is still going to be lurking offshore by midnight. That is going to make itself known as we head through the late night and early morning hours as we approach sunrise on a Thursday. So there's that band of heavier rain marching right across the Bay Area, right as a lot of folks are getting up, heading out the door Thursday morning. The Thursday morning commute looks like it is going to be a mess. It's when we're going to get the heaviest rain. It's when we're going to get the strongest winds marching from west to east across the area. The heaviest rain won't last long enough to lead to any significant flooding threat, but we're still going to be in this pattern where off and on showers are likely through the rest of the day Thursday. Even though they become a little fewer and farther between, it's going to be unsettled for the rest of the day. So how much rain are we talking about? Let's take a look. For the northern half of the Bay Area, the amounts are going to add up to a decent amount. This should take us a little bit farther down the line. It only takes us to 10 o'clock tomorrow for some reason. Well, that should wind the clock a little bit forward. We're going to be seeing probably an inch or so on either side of that number is generally where things are going to ramp up. And this is going to be a snowmaker in the Sierra, but not a significant one. We'll get you an updated look at those rainfall totals coming up at 7 o'clock. Not sure what happened with that particular map. And the wind energy with this system has prompted a wind advisory from the National Weather Service from 10 o'clock tomorrow evening through 10 a.m. on Thursday. The strongest winds will be just before sunrise in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range. That's when we're really going to see the greatest impact from both the rain and the wind across the Bay Area. So a messy morning commute on Thursday. That's why it's highlighted as a first alert day. We'll see the atmosphere drying out for the end of the work week and the first half of the weekend. Then some showers in the forecast by Sunday and Monday. Just a chance of showers, lower than a 50-50 chance at this point. We'll be able to focus more on that system once we get tomorrow and Thursday's rain chances out of the way. Jules?
All right, thank you. When we come back, how a North Bay Veterans Parade filled a void left by the government shutdown. Several events throughout the Bay Area today to commemorate Veterans Day, including at the USS Hornet Museum in Alameda. The ceremony featured guest speakers, a color guard, a wreath laying, and the playing of taps. The aircraft carrier turned museum partnered with multiple organizations for the event, including the Alameda County Veterans Affairs Commission. One of the largest annual parades in the Bay Area happens in Petaluma, and it all started with the swearing in of new Coast Guard recruits. But the government shutdown meant that the Coast Guard couldn't march in the parade this year. Still, dozens of cars with American flags drove past a crowd of people of all ages, while some World War II veterans were the guests of honor. And the volunteer Coast Guard Auxiliary led off the parade. Congressman Mike Thompson said he was unaware of the shutdown's impact on the Coast Guard's participation.
That's kind of ridiculous because they're already here, they're already working, and they want to be part of this. And this is our community saying thank you to veterans.
The parade in Petaluma officially began in 1986. At its height before the pandemic, it featured more than 200 entries, 2,000 participants, in a crowd of more than 40,000 people. CBS Evening News is next on KPIX. Local news continues on our streaming service, CBS News Bay Area. We're back here in 30 minutes with more news at 7 o'clock just for you. We'll see you then.